Welcome again to another exciting episode of Business Daily right here on Trust TV, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I'm your host, Chiamaka Nwafor, and as we begin, as always, with the top stories. Those were the top stories in the business world today, both Nigeria and globally. And we see starting for us is that the Federal Allocations Committee has disbursed over 15 trillion naira to both the federal, states and local governments of Nigeria in the year 2024. Now, the question is, did the 15 trillion, how did you see it impact yourself, your economy, your lives? Were there any improvements? That's quite, and according to data reports, that's quite a record. That's a record disbursement. 15.26 trillion naira to the federal government, states and local government area in 2024. That's a record disbursement for the Federal Allocations Committee. Now, we equally see that the petrol landing cost of fuel has gone down by about a bit over 700 naira per litre. What does that mean? Will that equally translate to the price of reduction of fuel in the country, not just Lagos? Because, you know, in the last few weeks, we keep on saying that when the price of fuel reduces, it just mostly just takes effect in the commercial city of the country, in Lagos State. But now with the landing cost going down to 700 and something naira per litre, will that affect the price of fuel in our filling stations across the country. We clearly see that the Vice President has said that the FEC has approved some money for electricity vehicles over in the northeast. The question I have is, do we have the capacity to fuel, or better still, light up these electricity vehicles? How will they function in the northeast? Is there plans to have a solar farm? Well, that will bring me to the topic of today, which is the Katsina wind farm. What happened with that investment? When we come back from looking at our crude oil prices, we'll go on a short break and we'll delve into that conversation. Just stay with us. Oil prices, we see that Brent went down to $70.08, down by 0.68% of its price, and OPEC basket is at $72.98, up by 0.59%. Now, before we went on that short break, I talked about the fact that renewable energy. We're honing down today's conversation mostly at the Katsina wind farm. When we come back from this short break, we'll delve into the discuss. Please do stay with us. Welcome back to Business Daily here on Trust TV. And before the break, I told you we'll be looking at the conversation, a very important discuss. We're about renewable energy, actually, but we're honing it down to the Katsina wind farm. Now, remember, sometime last week on this same program, one of our top stories was that the government has approved the commission of a renewable energy assets management company like that, a get together of that. And now we have this situation. Hopefully that would help us see what will happen with the Katsina wind farm. But let's take a look at this report by Aaron Hashahel.
Looming in silence, a model for a sustainable transition to green energy now stands abandoned and forgotten.
I blame the issue of corruption in Nigeria. I blame the issue of mispriorities of issues, because if there is actual, ideology, actual intention in that particular project, I think it should have been completed by now.
This wind farm, initiated in 2005 by former Katsina State Governor Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, who later became Nigeria's president.
They started it, and as God would have it, by 2007 he became the president of Nigeria, and that was when the project was moved from the state government to the federal government.
For 60-year-old Sali Sumantari, the project is more than just a failed promise. It is his daily reality. Every day, he fears vandalism at the abandoned site.
Thieves have tried to attack us countless times, but we were able to repel the attack. Sometimes they steal, and sometimes we try to recover some items.
With the plan to generate 10 megawatts of wind energy to boost electricity in northwest Nigeria, the Katsina wind farm project at Lamba Rimi was the first of its kind in sub-Saharan Africa. This project, now abandoned, sets back to boosting the region's electricity challenge, from corruption to failed promises by government after government. Initiatives like the Katsina wind farm project are often neglected, with no accountability for completion. The project was first awarded to Venet SA, a French contractor, and was expected to be completed within 2 years. But 20 years later, it has not produced a single unit of electricity.
We are in need of the project seriously, because we know it will assist us in developing a lot of things economically, socially, in fact, in other ramifications. This is the only alternative that we have. And if that alternative cannot see the light of the day, it means we can ask, we can question the integrity, the seriousness, the commitment of federal governments.
With Nigeria recording over 9 nationwide blackouts in 2024 due to grid collapses, the abandoned Katsina wind farm stands as a painful reminder of lost opportunities. A project that could have generated 10 megawatts of clean energy, enough to power 10,000 homes in the region.
We're not happy that this project has been abandoned. When it started, we felt very happy. But since it was abandoned, we've been very sad. We have been praying for the day this project will be completed.
But why has this project lingered for so long? Experts estimate that 4.4 billion naira has been spent on the project, yet successful administrations continue allocating funds without meaningful implementations.
There you have it, that report on the Katsina wind farm. Now joining me in the studio to further discuss this is engineer Dr. Abubakar Atiku Tambuwal. He's the former acting MD Transmission Company of Nigeria and the serving board director of the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company, AEDC. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on the program this morning.
Good morning.
So I take it that with this, things I've called out about you, that you're a power sector expert. So we're going to delve into this situation. First question I have to ask really is, why was Katsina State the location for the farm?
Thank you very much. To start with, let me just add one thing about my profile, which I think is relevant. Before I joined NEPA then, I was opportuned to be the director of Sokoto Energy Research Center. And that Energy Research Center had the mandate of doing research and development in new and renewable energy sources. Wind energy is one of them. And quite fortunately, in 1996, when I was there, we were able to commission the first demonstration project. At the gate of the university. We have a village there, say Gidangada, which we powered with 2 wind turbines. Each one is 2.5 kilowatt. Though small, but we were able to power that village as a demonstration project. And I think that gave the federal government the idea that it can be done in a pilot or in a larger scale. Renewable energy or wind energy, like I said, is renewable. And renewable is that it means it can continuously be available. Wind because of solar, because of sun temperature variation in the environment. That's what causes wind to blow. So if you look at the northern Nigeria, Sokoto, Katsina, Zamfara, they're all in a region whereby you have sustainable wind energy. So with that, I think that gave the then state governor having a look at these potentials to say, okay, let's now try the 10 megawatt Katsina wind project, which was initiated by the late President Rodwa when he was the governor. So in 2007, I believe, when he became the president, that project was transferred to the federal government. And that's the genesis of that project. And for any wind energy to be successful, that wind regime must be at least a minimum of 3 meters per second, which in that region, in that belt, we have as much as 5 meters per second, or even more. So I think that is why that is a potential site and very good for wind energy development.
First of all, thank you for that addition to your profile. You know, it helps even know that we have the right person speaking to the conversation. So now that this has happened, the whole Katsina wind farm, how can this issue be turned around to do what it's actually meant to do?
Well, as you know, the project has really suffered, as we have heard, and been stalled for over 20 years. I believe it has to be rescoped such that we get the right company. I don't know the local company which took over the project from the first OEM. What really happened, as we heard that they were trained in France and they were able to take over and the project was awarded to them. But then it did not help matters because to this moment, the project is still lying idle. We have not seen any meaningful progress. So the best thing is for the federal government to look at the project, look at what are the issues, how do we get over that. And if truly Katsina State government want to take over, as we have heard, then there has to be proper modalities of taking it back and getting the right technical personnel or company that can execute the project.
So they say the people brought in now is Genesis Power and Energy Solutions UK. So UK company will have been brought in to do this work, and hopefully they will do a great job. But but we're seeing now that one of the major things that's happening is how to move to cleaner energy, which is renewable energy. And somehow you've had some sort of experience with it, with what you did over in 1996. What would you advise the government, and not just Katsina State government, even Nigerian government, because this is beyond just a state, it's now a Nigerian project, on steps to make sure this works within the time frame given and that it's replicated across board?
Yeah, I think we should try to learn by our mistakes
Yes.
and then do better. What really is going to be a breakthrough here is the fact that the new Electricity Act has now empowered the states to generate, transmit, and distribute electricity. So with this particular PIT, each state now has its own regulatory agency, or will have its own regulatory agency, which will license and give authority to investors to come in and invest. And I think renewable energy stand to benefit more in terms of getting this opportunity to develop this small scale or even large scale renewable energy, solar, wind, and the like. So I think it's an opportunity for the states to really come in and try to remove all the obstacles that we have been seeing when we are under the National Regulatory Commission. There are a lot of bottlenecks, a lot of issues that investors face. But I think with the state electricity regulatory agencies, those issues can be resolved quite easily, and then we'll have a more sustainable and better approach in terms of the investment in renewable energy.
Okay, before I move to the investment part of the conversation, I want to come to something about the state regulatory agencies. Do you think that as a country, Nigeria is ready to, will I say, diversify or relinquish hold from the federal government and allow states run it? Do you think that's something that we're ready to do economically for us?
Well, there are a lot of silent issues which I think we just have to start in order to overcome them.
Okay.
And fortunately, the states that have already established their own regulatory agencies have been given the mandate by NEC to start. And some of them have really shown that they are capable. So I think it's good, even though there are issues, but we have to start to see what are the issues and how do we overcome them. So I think it's a good turning point.
All right. So now let's come to investment. You mentioned it earlier. What investment opportunities does this particular Katsina wind farm present for both local and foreign businesses?
Well, as you know, renewable energies are really capital intensive in nature. You need a lot of funds to start it off. But then, when you look at the running cost, it's fairly low or non-existent. So what I feel is that if we have good and reasonable investors who will now look forward to see that there is an atmosphere whereby they can recoup their investment within 10, 15, 20 years of the lifespan of these renewable systems. I think it's a good opportunity for them to come in. And a lot of them, even as you know, not only the big investors, even private people in your houses, a lot of people have now turned to solar because of the apparent
bill and cost.
Exactly. Yes. So that is it.
Okay. Now, so what incentives are available for private sector participation in Nigeria's renewable energy sector?
I think there are some of these incentives that can really be introduced to ease doing business for investors. Like a lot of tax can be relieved, the importation aspect, because as you know, we don't produce
some of these things,
equipment, we have to import them. So government has to come in to provide the incentives necessary for this equipment and components of renewable energy to be imported into the country.
Okay. Now, risk. What are the risks? Because even if I'm going to invest, I need to know that the risk. What can I look out for to avoid, anything in the Nigerian renewable energy sector?
The risk, as far as I'm concerned, is got to do with recovery of cost. When you look at our Nigerian power situation, you see that we are losing in terms of revenue. When you have a system, a distribution system, company that is recording over 45% losses, it's not a viable business. So for any investor to be assured, he has to know that whatever is being produced is fully paid for by customers.
Okay.
So I think this is one of the issues which even the investors will firm up and make sure that they don't lose in that aspect. Metering is one thing which is missing, and unless you are able to meter all your customers 100%, you are definitely going to lose a lot of energy. So I think before they come in, there has to be all-encompassing. They come in with investment on metering and make sure that the power that is delivered to customers is 100% or close to that paid for.
Okay. Now, how much power can we expect this wind farm to realistically generate for us, and of course to contribute to Nigeria's power grid?
Well, not only wind energy, even solar and other renewable. I think there's a policy, and what our vision is by 2030, we should be able to generate up to 30 megawatt of 30,000 possibly megawatt from renewable energy. So if that vision is to be realized, then we have to see how do we get not only wind but solar fully incorporated into our energy mix. Because our problem in Nigeria again is the energy mix. We rely 100% or more on gas, to a certain extent on Kainji hydro.
Yes, hydro.
But we need to diversify. We need other energy sources like coal, which has been existing before. We have a lot of abundant coal. And
but the world is moving to a cleaner energy and coal.
Yeah, but when you are in a dilemma, you want to really meet up the basic need, I think you have to look at all options.
All options.
In the Western countries, developed countries, yes, they will say yes, they want to phase out coal because they have enough energy mix. But in Nigeria, I think we should look at all options. Then gradually we can pace out the unclean sources from the mix.
All right, last question. How does the shift toward renewable energy impact Nigeria's overall energy market and business competitiveness?
I think, like I said earlier, if we're able to have this renewable energy fully integrated according to the vision, we should be able to have least cost in terms of tariff. Tariff will definitely go down because once you put in the investment cost, the running cost is virtually non-existent. So I believe with time, just as we are seeing fuel prices being reduced, we should also be seeing tariff on electricity going down.
All right. Time will not permit us to delve more, discuss more of the conversation. Thank you so much, Engineer Atiku Tambuwal, for joining us today on Business Day to discuss the renewable energy and the Katsina wind farm. That's much we have for you today on the program. Same time, same place tomorrow. I am Chiamaka Nwafor. Bye for now.